What's going on, guys? Good evening and welcome back to another video for FPL 2020-2021 season. This is my channel FPL Inklink and my name is Mo. So today's video we're going to be doing around the reaction to Game Week 25, how the teams went ahead, which players performed well and which players there are to look out for. This is my new channel, FPL Inklink. I've only started recently, so feel free to give me some feedback. Please subscribe to my channel if you like what you see. Leave me some feedback in the comment section. And if you like it and you'd like to know when I release my videos, please push the notifications icon and you'll be able to get notifications as soon as I release my videos. But before today we get into the reaction for this game week, I want to personally say thank you to all the key workers out there for their hard work throughout this pandemic over the last 12 months. I cannot stress how much we are appreciative of your hard work, and we really want to say thank you from my behalf on this channel and all the listeners who are listening. So thank you to all the key workers. So let's get going with Game Week 25. How was it for you guys? What went well? Who played well? Who blanked? Who did you guys think, oh God, if only I'd pressed submit and I'd taken a punt? Who did you guys think, oh my God, I am glad I did not choose them because they would have cost me huge? I want to hear all about it. Send me through your questions. Thank you to everyone who sent their questions this week. I've managed to take out some of the questions that we can go through and I'll be able to answer them to the best of my ability. If you guys have any further questions, anytime you guys can leave some feedback for me or leave it at the bottom in the comment section where I can get back to you guys and let you guys know what my opinion would be in regards to that question of yours. So let's start off with the game week itself. For me, thank God I had Bruno Fernandes. He saved my day, 9 points. Couldn't wish for any more. I'm pretty nailed on that he's going to get 3 bonus points because he was able to get an assist and a penalty goal for this game week. So he was United's best player on the pitch in regards to fantasy points. Whether it was performance-wise or not, that is subject to opinion. So thank God to him. Otherwise, my game week this week was looking very poor. I was expecting a much higher return with the team I had. I was not expecting Jack Grealish to be injured before the game week. That was a bit of a surprise for me when I heard once the game week deadline had surpassed. It's a bit of a kick in the teeth. Again, was I going to take him out of the team itself? No, because when I brought him in, his value was a lot less compared to what it is now. Due to ownership and the goals that he scored and the assists he's done, he's pretty much the talisman for Villa. Bit of a shame he couldn't play this week, but I've got Jesus on the bench who will be coming in. I know it's only a point, but every point matters in this league, so it will be him who will be coming in into my team. I heard Villa's manager at the post-match interview, they asked him a question around Jack Grealish and his current injury update. He did say they are hopeful for him to return to the next game. Whether he'll play the whole game or not, it's yet to be seen. However, I'm pretty hopeful he will be ready to go quite soon because he hasn't missed a game since November 2019 and has played like 40 plus games back to back for Aston Villa. Yes, I'm aware he's not part of all competitions, most of the cup competitions in terms of like Europa Champions League or Europe, he doesn't participate in terms of the League Cup and the FA Cup. Yes, it's whether they go on a cup run or not, but Jack Grealish is pretty much the first name other than Martinez, I reckon, this season that goes on the paper for Aston Villa before they make their game week team sheet. So I'm pretty hopeful to keep him in. It's a double game week. Even if he does come back in for the second game, which is against Sheffield, I believe, I'm still going to keep him in because Jack Grealish, even half fit, even for 1 out of the 2 games, I'd rather take a risk and play him. The cost benefit for me, I'll keep him in. And that will be the one where I can actually, if he doesn't play either game, I've still got Eric Dyer on the bench, who can come in and kind of fill out that position if need be. But that's Jack Grealish in terms of Aston Villa. So let's start from the game week fixtures, what the results were, who did well in which game, and how it all went. So it all started on Friday. Friday night it was Wolves versus Leeds. So the result was in favour of Wolves, a much needed result, 1-0 to them. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I was expecting either a 2-1 or a 3-1 to Leeds. But Wolves played really well. A bit of controversy. I have Bamford as my captain. He did score a goal late on, which was around the 85th minute. Ruled offside. Again, margin was minimal. I'm saying that as an FPL manager and someone who wanted to get the points. I think he was onside, but if I had to be biased, I'd say. If that was against my football team, which is Manchester United, then I definitely would have said correct decision if that was given offside and he scored against us to level the game in the 85th minute. So again, if he'd scored, he would have got probably bonus points as well. And those 2 points, which are 4 points here, could have been around the 10 to 12 mark, which would have been quite useful for me. And if you double that, that would have been 24 points. And my result at the moment could have been from 39 to about 60 for the game week points. So no concerns there. He's got another game to play this game week because it is a double game week. He's got Southampton. So that's the benefit of having a captain who has 2 games. So if they do fire blank in one of the games, which is the first one, there's still hope that in the second one they'll be able to accumulate the points and actually make it a successful game week for you. In cases like mine this time where I am on 39 points and I'll be aiming with the 2 players I've got left, anything above 50, it'll be a good game week for me, considering where I started the day today, which was on 6 points after 4 players already playing, and being around the 39-40 points mark before the United game. I would have taken that, to be fair. A clean sheet would have been even better for United, but 39 points, I'm not sure what the average is at the moment because the tables haven't updated. I've literally just started streaming straight after the Manchester United versus Newcastle game. So they will update overnight, and I will give you guys my overall game week rank, which will be at the end of tomorrow night's game, which is going to be played at 8 o'clock. So once that's over between Burnley and Crystal Palace, when I post my next video, which is going to be around my team selection for game week 26, that is when I'll be able to tell you what my overall game week rank was. Overnight, I did fall by a couple of thousand, probably due to the fact that Liverpool and Everton played, and a lot of people did have Everton and Liverpool players, but there was no concern for me because I knew that the bulk of my team will be playing today, and which I have, and I still had 2 game week players left in regards to double game week, so I was pretty hopeful of that. The aim is now to just pray and hope that Ings and Bamford play an absolute classic 5-5. Both of them can grab a couple of goals and assists and maybe a couple of penalties, and that would make our game week a lot more sweeter. So that is the game week so far for me. In regards to Leeds itself, they played really, really well in the second half. They really came for it. Wolves did extremely well to hold on. It wasn't a great spectacle for the neutrals like myself. However, I believe that if you were fans of those 2 teams and you were playing and you were watching that game, it was a good spectacle to watch. So best luck to both teams. I know Wolves are now at the moment trying to get a bit of a run. They've not performed to the best of their ability ever since losing Jimenez to the skull injury. And I don't blame him. If you've got a striker who's been bagging in anywhere between 15 to 20 goals for you and he's been part of your success, to lose him for a long-term injury, a bit like Van Dijk for Liverpool, it's a huge thing to recover from. And that kind of a striker, I know they've invested in Silva for 35 million, but he's unproven and he's a youngster at this age. So whether he can do it in the Premier League, I've got to give him time, maybe a season, maybe next season. We'll be able to see what he's really made of or whether he was worth the price tag he came at. It's not really fair to judge a new player who's especially so young with a big price tag, which has nothing to do with him and it's not his fault at all, is yet to be seen. So Wolves, really well done. Good result for you guys. Time to kick on, get a few results together and put you guys safe before getting in the relegation battle mix, because Newcastle are pushing themselves down and teams like Fulham and Sheffield are starting to get points now. So teams beware down there. They are coming and it's going to be a really tight and intense finish. The fact that there's no crowds this year makes it even more exciting for us to watch and enjoy, and I think it's going to be an absolute cracker end of the season. So well done to Wolves, keep up the performance, and I reckon if you guys are looking to get any players from Wolves in, Neto for me is an absolute gem. I think he's played really, really well. So if you are looking to get any players in from Wolves, Neto would be a great buy in my opinion. In regards to Leeds, Rafinha, great player. Dallas, I would say Bamford, they're all in form at the moment. So if you guys had them in your team and you guys doubled up, tripled up as well, if you've got another game week coming and you haven't got the points on the board, I would say Leeds are going to give it a good game against Southampton. Southampton have leaked a lot of goals recently. And I do believe that if they conceded goals like 9 against Manchester United, 3 against Newcastle, who are barely scoring before that, and I think that's the defence. Obviously, they've got a lot of injuries that have come along. So Southampton are there for the taking. However, never write Southampton off. Last time they lost 9-0 and pretty much they came back with a bang. It's yet to be seen so far, but this is an unpredictable time. It's an unpredictable season. So whether we can write them off, it's probably at our own peril. However, let's give them a time. Let's give them a chance. Who knows? Danny Ings hasn't scored freely since he had that knee injury at the start of the season. He had a great start. He was around the 70 points mark in the first, I think, 10 to 11 games in before he got that injury. One of the most prolific strikers last season. And I thought, do you know what, this was the time for him to kick in. I had him in, he got injured, took him out, brought him back in, hoping for the best. But Southampton have just fallen off the rails. And it's time that I think I'm not going to play Danny Ings. For now, I will be subs. I'll actually be transferring him out, not even substituting him to the bench. I'll be transferring him out. I will release that on my deadline stream, which will be in a couple of days, telling you who I've brought in and who I'm backing to get me the points as we go forward in this season, in the game weeks to come. So we've moved from the first game, going now to the lunchtime kickoff yesterday, which was Southampton versus Chelsea. Again, the Chelsea new manager still to lose a game. It was a 1-1. Great game. Danny Ings gave away the penalty. Thank God he didn't get a yellow card for that penalty, otherwise I would have lost another point. I was actually hoping for a goal from Danny Ings, but unfortunately no goal for him. He's still got another game against Leeds. Leeds, as good as they are going forward, they are just as, I would say, susceptible to conceding. They can concede a goal out of nowhere. They can actually concede 2, 3, 4. And then basically they can still continue attacking. But that is Leeds for you in a nutshell. So I believe if Danny Ings can actually turn up and actually go at the defence and he gets the service that he needs, I think Theo Walcott being out is a huge loss for him in terms of the service. Ward-Prowse hasn't really been himself in the last couple of game weeks. I did have him in my squad and I subbed him initially. And I thought we'll wait for another kind of like a golden patch, but it never came. So I ended up transferring him out for Gundogan, which was for me, in a long term, I look at it now, a really good choice because Gundogan, since the last 8 to 10 games, has been absolutely phenomenal in his game week returns. So Southampton, I'm not expecting a clean sheet from them, but if Ings can bag me a goal or an assist, I'll take the extra points, and I think it would be a good choice to have retained him. But I believe that his time in my team is now up. I will be transferring him out, and again, if he comes into form and the players that I have in my team are not in form, there is no reason why I would not bring him back into my squad. So that's Danny Ings for you. Didn't have a great game. I'm expecting him to get a goal or an assist against Leeds. So let's see how he fares with the Leeds defence in the next couple of days. The next game I want to talk about is literally going to be for a few seconds, which was Burnley versus West Brom, 0-0. Not a great game to watch for the eyes if you're a neutral. But however, if you had any of their defenders in your team for fantasy, great. Or if you had any of their goalkeepers, they would have got you the clean sheet points. So in my opinion, if you do have any of them and they came in, or you kept them in your team just for the cheap option buy, a great result for you. But in terms of the game itself, there's not really much to discuss. Both teams are actually playing for survival. Burnley, can never criticise them. Sean Dyche, absolutely amazing manager. He's done phenomenally well since he's been back in the Premier League. He has I think it's the smallest budget for a Premier League team year in, year out, and yet they still remain in the league. No arguments at all. He's a great manager who's done absolutely fantastically for Burnley. It works for them. It works for their model. It works for their team. So long may it continue. Sam Allardyce, it's going to be tested. He's always survived a Premier League relegation battle, but I'm not sure about this one this year. I can never say never, but in my opinion, I still wouldn't have got rid of Bilic in the previous manager after getting a draw against Man City. I wouldn't have sacked him at that point. I thought he was trying to get the best out of the team, and the team was starting to look a bit more as a team who'd actually play for him. But again, were they aware that there was going to be a change coming in? Were they looking for a change? Were the players actually expecting one, so they played better that game against Man City? I'm not too sure. Were they trying to prove to the new manager that, yes, we are the players, we want to stay here? There's a lot of things that go out in the background, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But in terms of the game itself, not that great in terms of a spectacle to watch. But in terms of if you had any, brilliant. I think it's a great game week for you guys, where you guys didn't concede, but also you guys could have maximised your funds elsewhere. Whoa, so now we're going to a cracker of a game. It's going to be Liverpool versus Everton. An absolute thunderbolt game, full of action, full of controversy. Was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty? We'll talk about that later. But let's react to the result. Everton winning at Anfield. Wow. I can't remember the last time they did that. I think their last victory against Liverpool themselves was around 2010, which was 11 years ago when David Moyes was in charge. So it shows you how much of a huge achievement this is for Everton. Hats off, great tactics. I raised my eyebrows at Ancelotti of his defensive setup, but he did really well. Hit Liverpool strong, started the game strongly. I was actually expecting the reverse, to be fair. I thought Klopp would gather up his troops, bring the team out, send them with a message to go and attack them, go for the throat, go for the kill, and actually kill the game off in the first 20 minutes. However, there was wind, there was a bit of a storm. That's for both teams, really. I'm not going to use that as an excuse for Liverpool, but I do believe Everton were more hungrier. Liverpool looked depleted. I mean, they lost Henderson as well. That's another injury now for Liverpool to contend with. They've got a long list of injuries now, and it's not an excuse. I'm not defending them, but it is tough when you lose that many players. But again, there are other teams that lost players previously, and that is my argument. If you look at the previous seasons, Vincent Kompany, when he came back from injury, scored that absolute belter against Leicester to win the league on the final day against Liverpool 2 seasons ago. Vincent Kompany's been out for a long time. Sané was out. You lose all these big players for a long time, and it costs you during the season. Last season, they lost De Bruyne. They lost other players throughout the season, but Laporte was injured for a while. City just had to get on with it. Injuries are not an excuse. I do believe that, teams should be able to cope with it. But losing Van Dijk, he was the best player in the world for me in terms of a defender. Absolutely phenomenal. His partnership, his leadership, it was absolutely phenomenal. Klopp literally had the team under control just by that man's presence. I think he's an absolute diamond. He's a gem to have in the league. I really hope he has a smooth recovery, comes back and actually plays to the level that he used to play. The Premier League needs players like Van Dijk. I know as a United fan I'm saying this, but it's an absolute shame to not see such a great defender playing for Liverpool and being able to be the captain on the field if Henderson is not on the field, to be actually able to defend his title. But again, injuries are part of the game. We've got to move on from it. All credit to Everton. They literally hit Liverpool on the break. Liverpool had a great spell. 10 minutes after the second half, Mane had like 3 chances. He absolutely spilt headers straight at the keeper, over the post, past the post, into a defender. It was not great from Liverpool. They did have the chances. Should they have scored? Yes. Salah dived in the outside or inside the penalty area. It was a dive. Again, from a player of that quality, in a game like that, I expect more. If that is his highlight or his talking point, it shows that, maybe he didn't turn up for the occasion. Are they overtired? Are they overrun? Only Klopp can answer that. Is there enough rotation? Are Liverpool, the team itself, hungry to succeed? Is this just as worse as City last season, looking to retain their title? I'm not sure. I'm not going to compare that in terms of who did worse and who's doing better. But I honestly do believe if you are going to defend your title, the last 2 seasons for the winners hasn't been a great spectacle. I expect teams who win the league to actually put up more of a fight, like the fight that City put up 2 seasons ago to retain it against Liverpool on the final day. They won by 1 point. That's the kind of spectacle we want to see. That's what the Premier League's all about. A one-horse race is never entertaining. It wasn't entertaining last year, and it certainly won't be entertaining if City wrap the league up in the next couple of game weeks. I'm hopeful that teams like Leicester, United can keep winning. Teams who play against City can actually, take some points off them to make this league a bit more exciting. But Liverpool, now they're actually not even thinking about the title. Klopp actually conceded a couple of weeks ago that they're thinking about the Champions League places. They're now out of the Champions League places. West Ham have replaced them at number 4. It's serious now. Liverpool need to pick up their game. They need to pick up the points in the next 3 games that they've got coming up, which 2 of them I think they should be able to take points off. However, never say never. They haven't had an absolute dismal run of form since the start of New Year. What's happened to the teams? I mean, the game that we saw in December, number 1 versus number 2, Liverpool versus Spurs. Spurs were first, Liverpool were second. Liverpool won the game, went top, Spurs went second. After that, they've both literally just fallen off a cliff. I never thought that. There was actually periods during November, December that people were actually talking, and even I was thinking Spurs and Liverpool are going to have a good finish at the end of the season. It looks like they're going to have the league. The Manchester clubs are going to have to fight for the top 4 place of Leicester. How the season changes in 2 months, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's credit to the Premier League. Let's just see how it pans out. So, in my opinion, Liverpool assets, if you want Salah, Mane, now's a good time. A reaction should come. So, Salah and Liverpool, captaincy, I would consider it. If you had him as captain against Everton, it would only have been 4 points, but he's got some good fixtures coming up. He's got Sheffield United and Fulham. I think there's a good shout that he can get a few returns there. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be West Ham versus Spurs, which was the lunchtime kickoff earlier today. Now, you've got Eric Dyer in there, which I had in my team, and you had Son. Son had a few chances, a lucky escape in the last minute. He could have got the equaliser off a freak deflection. He had no clue where the ball went. Could have been an assist or a goal for him. And that would have been a few more points for me. Eric Dyer had a glorious chance in the first half, headed the ball from the corner, set piece over the bar. So there's a lot of ifs and buts. Harry Kane had a few golden chances, so if you had him in your team, wow, it's very unlucky he didn't score because he had a few chances, but some really good saves by Fabianski. Great game from Antonio. He started off well, stayed aggressive, got a yellow card. Again, lost 1 point. But overall, Antonio had a great game, had a presence up front, gave West Ham direction, gave him a purpose to send the ball long with Souček in there. Hats off to Souček. Head injury, he still stayed on and played like an absolute trooper. So West Ham in the top 4, looking good. Spurs, what can I say? I'm starting to lose patience now. I know they've got the games in hands, and that's going to tempt me to put players in, but they need to learn how to keep clean sheets. And, you know, as a neutral, I'm not even a Spurs fan. I'm starting to get bored of the way they play football. Spurs under Pochettino were aggressive, going for goals. They were good to watch. Mourinho, I'm not too sure. He's not even going 1-0 up now. This is the part where I'm getting scared. Manchester United, Chelsea part 1, Chelsea part 2. He always had a game plan where he liked to go 1-0 up, 2-0 up, park the bus, put the shutters down, see the game out. There's no kind of oomph, there's no passion for me, there's no kind of like direction. They're just looking to meander through the game. Oh, the other team scored, let's go score a goal, let's play on the offensive now, bring Bale on. The tactics not worked in the past, it's not working now. It has to change. I mean, Reguilon's back now. He was the most attacking wing back they had. I believe he's been a huge loss to them, to the system. I believe he'll bring out the best in Tottenham and Mourinho's men moving forward. Not a great result for Mourinho and Tottenham. Are the fans starting to lose kind of patience with him? I'm not too sure. Are the media going to start questioning him a lot more? Again, the results have to improve. Harry Kane, is he happy with the kind of football that's being played? Have the teams worked out how Spurs like to play? They're not going to let them counter-attack. They're going to set the team up to defend those counters. It's all to be answered. Spurs have dropped significantly. They've gone from number 1, and I think they're like 7th in the league now. You know, there was a huge gap between them and Arsenal before the new year, and now it looks like they're probably going to be the 2 teams that are going to be struggling to stay in the top half of the Premier League table. But there's yet to be seen. I expect Son to continue. He's going to stay in my team. I'm not going to take him out. But Reguilon is someone based on the reaction that I'm showing this week, I'm definitely going to consider Reguilon because he's probably the most attacking defender they do have in their team. So Spurs, you got a lot to do. West Ham, congratulations, you're in the top 4. Can you achieve the top 4? I'm not sure. But you're giving it a good go. And if you guys do get to Europe, which I assume you would now, considering where you are, but never say never, but if you get to the Champions League, wow, what an achievement that would be. Will that be their best achievement? I know they've won leagues in the past and cups, but will that be their best achievement considering the current climate and the power of the big six, so called, or the big four? I think David Moyes, really underrated. He's done really, really well. Should be given the plaudits with the team he's got, the players he's brought in, the system he's created, the atmosphere he's got. It's just a shame that the West Ham fans are not in the stadium at the London Stadium to see how well their team has performed. But congratulations once again to West Ham. 25 games gone, 13 to go. Will they hit? Now that they know they're over the 40 points mark, which kind of like used to be their kind of like parameter of a good season, will they now take their foot off the gas? Will they fall away like Leicester did last season and allow teams like Manchester United, or in this case Tottenham, Liverpool, to creep into that top four or fly past them into the top four? We don't know, but again, a really good game week. Cresswell did really well. The goalkeeper Fabianski, always solid. Antonio, what can I say? He's an absolute powerhouse. He's a tank. He's huge. And the power he has to get above defenders and to score goals like he scored today, the kind of scruffy ones, get in those areas, commit himself, put the goalkeeper and the defenders under pressure. That's the kind of player you want in your team. So West Ham, well done. And my reaction to you guys is keep it up. For me, I would like you guys to go into the top four. Keep playing well. Keep out your work that's gone well. Don't change what you've done. Obviously, you probably don't have the game weeks that other teams do have in terms of midweek game weeks for cup competitions, but keep your players fresh, keep Antonio off the injury list or the kind of injury table, and I believe you guys have got a really good chance of getting into Europe. Might not be the Champions League, but Europa League, successful season for me. And the next season, when the fans, hopefully, touch wood, are back into the stadium, how happy would they be to see you guys play in Europe week in, week out at the start of the season? So West Ham, keep it up. And who knows, if you guys get a few more scorers or a few more goals and points, I might actually put in Antonio moving forward into my team. But at the moment, I'm going to stick with Bamford, and I may bring in, who knows, Jamie Vardy. But Antonio, if he continues to score and he stays off the injury list, there's no reason why I would not put him back in my team. Reaction to Aston Villa's game. Now, this was a East Midlands derby versus West Midlands. So it's like a Midlands derby, really. Great game. Again, Leicester came out firing. Grealish was a huge miss as it was, but a 2-1 win for Leicester. Vardy, great performance, put in a shift. Harvey Barnes, what can I say? Looking for an England call-up. So is James Maddison. He has to be on the plane to Europe. Maddison is absolutely ridiculous at the moment in terms of fantasy points. He's actually really testing me to get him into the squad. Will I change him for Grealish? If he carries on scoring, never say never. Who knows, I might change him for Son and bring him in. But again, it depends on the game week fixtures that they do have coming up. And in regards to how I see his form stays or it dips, because he did have a period last season where he absolutely dipped and there was no returns. And at that point, I did have him in my team. So I guess I might have a few scars from that point. But again, he's on form. He's scoring goals. He's getting assists. He's getting in the right areas. He's pretty much leading the line of their attack. And he's putting a lot of pressure on Gareth Southgate to select him. So again, Leicester looking great. Am I going to get any of them in my squad? Temptation is there. I might get one or two of them into my squad now. Looking at the fixtures in the next 5 game weeks, they are looking good. I want to look into it. I want to see what kind of returns I'm expecting. Have Leicester got the capability to continue this form? Will they take their eye off it with other cup competitions such as the FA Cup against Manchester United? So it's all to be seen. Let's see what players play well, who keeps up their form, and maybe I'll actually look to transfer them in. Aston Villa, I've discussed it already. Grealish was injured. Watkins didn't get a goal this time, but he's got returns in the last 5 games. So I've got no concerns for him. I believe he's a great signing. He's going to be coming into my squad for sure. My reaction is that, in terms of this itself, I believe that Leicester have actually proven to us that they're to be reckoned with. I'm not going to say they're going to win the title, but they're given a good run for their money again. The only concern I had was, were they going to fall off after New Year like they did last year? Last year they were near enough. I think they were second in the league, a couple of points off Liverpool. I think the points for Liverpool were a bit more than Man City. So I think they were a few points ahead of Man City. Obviously miles behind Liverpool. Liverpool were clear favourites by then to win the league anyway. But then they tailed off to actually fall out the top 4. So again, that's the only doubt that I have in my mind. Will it happen 2 years in a row? I'm not too sure, but the way they're playing at the moment, there's no reason why myself or you guys should not consider bringing in any of the players from Leicester itself. I know they've got a few injuries at the back, but defensively they're still really sound. Schmeichel, again, a reliable goalkeeper. Think about him. Bring him in if you like, and we can see how they get along in the next couple of game weeks, which I believe they are running into a really good patch of game weeks, which are going to be about 5 game weeks, I believe. One fixture I think might be a difficult fixture, which I'll go through in terms of the deadline stream. But I believe the other 4 are pretty favourable in terms of the game itself and for fantasy managers who do have Leicester players offensively or defensively stacked up in their teams. So the next game after that was the Man City versus Arsenal game. Great start for me. Sterling scored in the second minute. I thought, hey, here we go. A 4-5-0 drubbing of Arsenal. Hey, what was I to know? It was actually going to be a 1-0 game. City, they're frustrating me, really, honestly. How can I put it in there? There's 2 thoughts for City players this season for managers. Thought 1, get the defence in, play with the defence. You'll get more points. Thought 2, get the attackers in, get the attacker returns. Now, for me, I've tried both. And I think I've fallen into that category that if I do one, the other prospers, and if I do the other one will prosper. So I'll give you an example. Initially, I had Kevin De Bruyne, I had Jesus in my squad, and I had Riyad Mahrez. They started not firing. They started firing at the start of the season, then went a bit kind of like off form. De Bruyne got injured. Jesus got injured for a little bit. I went over, changed my strategy, played the wild card. I got 2 defenders in from Man City, which was John Stones and Cancelo. What happened was he went and benched him against a team. So what happened there was he benched him for the week. Both of them at the same week, actually. So I actually ended up, because I had 2 injuries on the bench as well, I ended up playing with 9 players, which for me was a kick in the teeth in regards to my fantasy that week. And I was so distraught. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm not going to play this Pep Roulette because they've got so many defenders. They've got Laporte, Diaz, John Stones, Cancelo, Mendy, Kyle Walker, and Zinchenko. Sorry, I forgot him as well. They've got so many defenders. Pep has the luxury of rotating them one week to the other. And I couldn't take that risk. But at the moment, the managers who do have these City defenders, they're actually reaping the benefits with their clean sheets. Am I being tempted to put them back in? Maybe not. I'll tell you why. Again, I can't take the risk of them being rotated. Yes, they have the best defensive record in the league. I'm not going to deny that. But moving forward, I have plans to have De Bruyne. I'm looking at Aguero at the moment, but the way he was not used at all, Jesus was brought on, I'm a bit unsure now. I was actually first, about a week ago, I was going to say definitely he's coming into my squad. I'm changing Jesus for Aguero. Aguero is the main man. He's going to get the goals. But I'm not sure what's going to happen now because the way I've seen Guardiola, he likes playing without a striker. And if he doesn't have a striker, he likes to play De Bruyne, Mahrez and Sterling up front, and he likes to rotate between the 3 with Gundogan not so far behind. Is that the new Pep way? Does he need a striker? Does he not trust Aguero? I'm not sure. Am I wanting to bring in a £10.3 million player that's going to be benched or probably not played at all? I don't think I want to do that. If I'm going to play a player who's got 10 million, I want it to be a week in, week out kind of a starter. So, for example, maybe a Jamie Vardy, Harry Kane at 11 million. At least I know they'll be starting. So I've got some form of game time and options or opportunities for them to get me a return. So let's see how that goes. Again, it was a disappointing game. City first half looked very, very aggressive. They wanted to go for the kill. And then when they went lethargic after the second half, Arsenal had a really good chance to actually get a point from the game. But again, kind of like, maybe the kind of inexperience or the pressure or the way City handled the game itself kind of allowed the game itself not to get stretched or actually get a bit nerve-wracking at the end of the day. But a good win for City nonetheless. They stretched their lead again to 10 points at the top of the league. They're looking like they're running away with it. Again, it's the battle of defence versus offence for City. At the moment, I'm sitting on the offence. I like to go with the attackers. But if they continue getting more clean sheets, who knows, I may be tempted to go again and get their defenders back in. But at the moment, I'm going to stick to my United defenders and Spurs defender and Aston Villa when Cash gets fit, so we can see where they go from then. I believe that City are going to have a few more challenging fixtures. They're probably going to have to rotate their squad a lot more because of the Champions League, FA Cup, and the League Cup final that's coming up. So it's going to be a good watch. So maybe then we'll be able to reflect that whether it was a good choice from me to change the defence because of the rotation policy, or whether it was a bad move from me and maybe I could have got more points from the defenders that I did have in my squad. But nevertheless, City defenders, well done. You guys have done a great job this season, only conceding 15 goals. And I believe that all the managers who have had you in have done a really, really good job keeping you guys and keeping faith with you, because I certainly lost it straight away. But well done to City and keep it up. And Diaz is absolutely phenomenal. I saw a few of his runs today from his own half all the way to pretty much the edge of the penalty area. He doesn't mind a forward run. So Diaz is someone I'm keeping an eye on. Laporte would have been nailed on first choice at the start of the season, but I think Diaz has taken that mantle now. Bernardino is he's capitalising on the fact that he's not in the centre-back role anymore. He's in his back to his defensive midfielder role. But I do believe that as a captain moving forward, Diaz might be the club captain the way he is playing. And he's pretty much a rock-solid defender at the back. And his partnership with Stones, he's absolutely kind of like, a reformed Stones himself, who's come back and given a really good account of himself for the England squad in the summer for the Euros. But Man City, great defensively. Offensively, I'm a bit concerned now because I'm starting to see a bit more of a 1-0 up. Let's conserve this lead if there's no De Bruyne on the pitch. But once De Bruyne is back in, I think my point of aggression versus defence is going to be a good argument to have for us. The last game of the weekend so far, which was Manchester United versus Newcastle, which was a 3-1 result to Manchester United. Again, Bruno Fernandes got me 9 points, thanks to him. Wan-Bissaka and Shaw were in my defence. I was banking on a clean sheet. Now, West Ham have been absolutely phenomenal in terms of their goal scoring and keeping clean sheets. But if you look at the other side of the table, you look at Newcastle, not great scoring and an absolute woeful defensive record. So I was quite hopeful for the goals, which were obviously scored, the 3 goals. But I was also hopeful of a clean sheet for United for my 2 fullbacks. So that could have been another 10 points for me for this week. Again, they go and score in the first half. Absolutely gutted. That's 2 games now, actually 3, where I thought nailed on clean sheet for United. Manchester United when they played West Brom, Sheffield United at home, and now Newcastle. And they have conceded in all 3 of those games. It started to now concern me. Should I keep him? Should I not? But you know what? I'm going to back him. I'm going to back my fullbacks. I'm going to keep them in. Sure, he's on set pieces of Wan-Bissaka. He'll play week in, week out. If I do believe that there are other players out there that are performing better than these 2, then of course, why not? We'll look for a change. But I believe that the game weeks that these players will be playing in the next couple of weeks kind of favours me now, because are they going to turn up? Are they going to score the goals and get the assists that I'm expecting, or actually keep the clean sheets that I expect from them? United themselves, in regards to clean sheets, I'm going to give you guys a stellar stat now, which I just found out a couple of hours ago before the game started. If I had to tell you that Manchester United has scored 3 more goals than Manchester City, so City has scored 50, Manchester United has scored 53 after 25 games. However, the huge difference is defensively. Manchester United have conceded 31 goals after 25 games, whereas Manchester City have conceded 15. And what I'm going to tell you now is out of this 15, at the 25 games, I believe that most of them were probably goals which were conceded in the last 10 minutes. The teams have probably gone for the a game goal, or they wanted to come back in. So it's a phenomenal record by Manchester. Apologies for that. It's a phenomenal record by Manchester City in terms of their defence. Can they sustain it? Liverpool last season started off the same but tailed off near the end of the season. Can they sustain it? Can they not sustain it? Again, that's a question to be answered. For me, Manchester United, the 2 fullbacks I do have, they've given me returns over the last couple of game weeks and throughout the season, so there's no reason why I should move away from them. So that's the reaction to the game weeks that we've had. My reaction to this game week, a bit nervous. Not sure what my overall rank's going to be as the game hasn't updated. My aim was to come into the top million. I was around 1.2 mil. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to get into that or not. That'll be determined by the second game for my double game week players, Ings and Bamford, which will be played on Tuesday night. The game's at 6 o'clock, so everyone please tune in to watch that game, because I believe it's going to be a good game to watch. So let's see how we finish. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, if I can get over 50 points, good job for me. But again, I feel that I could have got far more points if certain things had gone my way. Refereeing decisions or defensive errors. For me, as my defence only got me 5 points, it's an absolute kick in the teeth. But again, you can always say that you shouldn't judge a week till it always completes the whole game week. So for me, 2 more games to go. Let's see where I finish and where I can finish at the end of the game week. So we're going to take a few questions now from you guys that I got throughout the last couple of days around this game week and what people want to do moving forward. So the first question was around the triple city defence, which I've already answered. Again, if you think that that's the best way for you to go, get 3 defenders in from City, but be careful of the Pep Roulette. He does like to rotate. Cancelo has played a couple of games in a row now. Likelihood of a rotation. Laporte's been on the bench for 2 games. There's a likelihood he may replace Diaz or John Stones moving forward. So again, it's your choice if you want 3 defenders, but I would actually recommend, if you're going to go for a defensive trio, then why not Edison? Edison and 2 defenders for me looks like a bit more of a safe bet compared to just 3 out-and-out defenders for City. But I would never recommend that. If that's the choice you want to make and that's going to be your differential or that's going to be your game plan, please feel free to go ahead and make those transfers. The second question was, is it time to change Danny Ings, which I've already answered as well. I'm changing him for my game week from my team, so that's going to be my transfer for this week. The next question I got sent through was, is it time to sell Salah for Kevin De Bruyne? Now, I will be bringing in Kevin De Bruyne into my squad. Absolute nailed on selection for me. He's an absolute gem to have in the team. He's an absolute safe bet. He's always part of City's attack. He's on set pieces for penalties, unless Gundogan takes it or Aguero's on the pitch as well. He takes free kicks, takes corners, takes short free kicks, long free kicks. He's pretty much everywhere on the park. So is it time to sell him? I'm not sure about that one, because the reason why I'm saying that, if I had Salah in my team and I was to transfer him out for Kevin De Bruyne, I probably would wait for a couple of game weeks. And I'll tell you why, because the next 3 game weeks that Liverpool are playing, 2 of them, I would say, are pretty friendly for him. They've got Chelsea in one of the game weeks and they've got Sheffield and Fulham. And I believe that Mane or Salah, Firmino, these guys have a good chance of getting a good return. So again, it's entirely your choice if you want to transfer him out. The ownership has fallen for Salah over the weeks, but at the moment, De Bruyne is only owned by 11% of the teams, which may increase obviously as this week progresses. But if you want a differential out of the 2, Kevin De Bruyne's going to be a safe bet. But on fixtures on paper, Salah looks like a more of a safe bet for me, because I believe that Liverpool are going to come back with a bang. They want a point to prove, and Salah, even though he's getting returns, he hasn't been himself for the last couple of weeks, and I believe that his best is still to come. And what better time to start than against Sheffield United next week? So for me, if you've got Salah, keep him. Don't change it for Kevin De Bruyne. If you don't have Salah in your team and you want to get one of the 2 out of the KDB or Salah, base it on your budget, see what you have in the bank. But for me, I would take Kevin De Bruyne based on his, the team he's playing in, just based on him himself. I used to have Salah at the start of the season, but for me, the price is just far too much. 12.6 mil for one player compared to another player who can get for almost a million cheaper when I brought him. So I've got Kevin De Bruyne in. But either way, whichever way you choose, it's entirely your choice based on your bank amount left to spend and in regards to what your future plans or transfers will be. So time to think for you managers and make your selections. An update on Zaha's injury. It's a hamstring injury, guys. There is no update in regards to Zaha himself. Crystal Palace look half the team without Zaha. He pretty much runs all the offensive line along with Eze and Benteke, but without Zaha and his influence and his runs, they do look half the team that they originally are when they are playing. So I don't have any updates itself. I believe it could be a couple of more weeks. There's no word on it from the club or Roy Hodgson himself. So let's see what Zaha comes out with in terms of his update for his injury. But when he does come back in, I do have a temptation to change him for Gundogan based on Gundogan's form. Because I do believe that a well-rested Zaha coming back after an injury is going to be absolutely lethal to contain, because he's going to be fresh, ready to go. He always has the hunger and passion to do well for his beloved Crystal Palace. So let's see. In regards to that, if I get any more information, I will let you guys know. Another question I got, let's have a look, which is premium strikers versus mid-range / budget strikers. Your choice. For me this season, it has to be a combination of the both. If you're playing a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3, there's 3 attackers. You've got go for 1 premium, 2 mid-range. So for example, let's say you've got Harry Kane. I would like to have someone like an Antonio or a Bamford or a Ollie Watkins either side of him. If you're going to play Vardy and Kane, you're probably going to have a weaker midfield and probably even weaker defence. So it's entirely your choice. My kind of personal suggestion, which I'm going to be following, is going to be 1 premium and 2 mid-range. So maybe Callum Wilson as well. I know he's injured, but I forgot to mention his name. Calvert-Lewin, why not? Richarlison. These are the kind of players that you'll be looking at as well. So that's my answer to that question. 1 premium, 2 mid-range, or 2 premiums. It's entirely your choice. But depending on your bank availability of funds and what kind of formation you'll be playing for your team. And the last question I've got is, what's wrong with Liverpool? What's happened to their players? There's someone who's messaged me going, he had Trent, Salah and Mane, and those 3 got him 5 points for this game week. I can't say much around their form themselves. They look a shadow of the team that they were last season. All I can say is be patient and trust the team. Klopp is a brilliant manager. Liverpool are a fantastic team. Yes, they're going through a bad patch, but you need to remember, every team has had a bad patch this season. Man City had one, Manchester United had one recently, Spurs are having one at the moment. So the way I see it, if you are going to make that decision, back yourself. Because what tends to happen is when you do make those transfers and then those players start firing, it's tough to take on the chin. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how they perform. Again, I have mentioned they have got 2 friendly fixtures coming up after the Fulham game, which is in 3 game weeks' time. Then judge what you think about the team, what you think about their performance, and what you think about their current form. I'm going to say this one more time. If you're going to back these players in their difficult times, please back them when they're almost close to coming back to their best. I do believe Liverpool have a game reaction around the corner. They do have a good game week in them. Let's see how they do. If you don't want to keep them through and you've got 2 free transfers, feel free to transfer them through. Man City will be good assets. Manchester United have a few friendly games coming up, so there are options there. In regards to Mane, that's one player I would recommend maybe substituting out. He hasn't been on form. He doesn't look himself. I'm not sure what it is, but he's just not been the same since he's come back from COVID earlier this season. Again, your choice, but I would not have Mane in my team at the moment. Based on his price, I'd rather get someone like an Aubameyang. I know he didn't play well today against Man City, but he's Arsenal's main talisman, main captain. He's a differential. If you want someone different in there, get him into the squad. Harvey Barnes for half the price. You got someone like a Maddison who's probably half the price as well. So again, it's entirely your choice who you want to bring into your team. So this is the reaction team for you guys. So we've gone through the game week results, the reaction of mine to my game week results and certain players' outgoings. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let's hope for the best. Let's wish the best to all the teams that are left to play in this game week, and that they can perform to the best of their ability, and you guys can get your maximum returns for the players you have in your squads. Thank you so much for everything. Once again, thank you for subscribing to FPL Inkling. Thank you for watching my video. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm always learning. I'm still learning how to do better in regards to doing these streams and giving my feedback. If you would like to join my league, which is FPL Inkling, the league code is on the top left of this screen. Feel free to join. Let's have a competitive league and let the best manager win. That's what we're all about. We want to have fun. We want to get the best results we can, and we want to finish top of not only the league that I have, but the overall game. That's the objective for every manager when we start this competition. So why not? Let's make it a bit more interesting by joining my league, or the FPL Inkling League, to add a bit more spice to your weekends. Once again, I'd like to say subscribe to my channel if you liked what you see. Stay tuned in. I'll be making a few more videos this week coming along, which is going to be a deadline stream, followed by a top 5 hidden gem Essential Players stream, where I'm going to tell you guys what I believe are the hidden gems for all the top 5 picks that I would pick for Game Week 26. It's been an absolute pleasure. Have a lovely week ahead, and best of luck for Game Week 26.